Hey guys, I saw your question over here in Justin's forum, whatever this is called, group, I guess. And you were looking at that. This one here, I'm not going to be able to show you right now, but this one, how you can put the arrow pointing out of any kind of box. I'll show you how you do that here real quick. Actually, it won't be that quick, but so let's take a look at the CSS. And now I have everything turned off. And all I did is I came in and I got two boxes here. Both of them are identical. Both of them are made right inside of ClickFunnels with a colored background and some padding around it. And the only difference is this one has a 5-pixel border all the way around. And the text in here, I did a strike through on the text, and you'll see why I did that in a minute. So let's come into the CSS. And so there's 3 different sets here. Let's just kind of break it up a little bit, get a better look at it. And so this first set of text is going to be, we're going to be putting that arrow over onto this box here. Now, what we're using is what is known as pseudo-elements. So the box itself, this is the CSS ID selector for the box itself, which you know where you can get that by clicking on the hashtag. But then we put in colon before or colon after. Really doesn't matter which one you use because all the styling tells it where to position it. So I did one before and one after. So first thing we have to do is we always have to put in some content, but in this case here we're going to put in some blank content, so it's not going to show anything, and that's why you just got the two quotes here with nothing in between. And then we have a border top, we're saying, of this yellow color, and a border left, right, and bottom of other colors. And you'll see why I have 4 different colors, just because I want to be able to show you where these colors are. But we're also having here that the border is 20 pixels. Now, you might also notice that down here, I have width and a height set for something else I'm going to do down here. Up here at the top, I have no height or width set. And the reason why is because there's not going to be any content inside of this box. There isn't going to be any background color, no words, no nothing. It's just a box made up 100% of these borders. And let me just turn on the 4 borders and let me get my cat out of the way here. And let me just turn these 4 borders back on. So now we have 4 borders, one of yellow, red, green, and blue. And for some reason, why is the green one not showing up? Okay, for some reason it didn't want to show up because I didn't have the rest of this all turned on, which I wouldn't have thought I needed, because what the rest of this says is we got a position is absolute. So we're going to tell it exactly where we want it based upon the element that it is a pseudo element of. So we are going to say left 50%, top 100%. And how this works, you see it appeared down here. How this works is says top 100%. So it says this is 0% up here, this is 100% down here, and what it's saying is place the top edge of this box 100% away from the top edge of this box. So it's going to push it all the way out of here. If we were to go, let's say we go top 0%, now it's actually hiding behind right here. And let's see if we can do minus 20. So at minus 20, it starts pulling it out above. And so we need 100%. But now let's say we want to go bottom 100. So we go BOTTOM. Now that's saying come from the bottom up 100%. And now the green side, which is the bottom border, is now at the top of our element. So let's put this back down to top. So now it's down at the bottom. And here we're saying left 50%. So it's going to start at our left edge and it's going to come over 50%. Same thing if we went over to the right edge of this other element and came in 50%. You always want to set your dimensions from the side you're moving away from. So if we said here top of 0, let's say, like I said, it's going to be inside of here. So that's why we want to go top of 100, because otherwise the top edge of the box is right up against the top edge here and it's hiding behind the element. Now, because we have 20 pixels on all of our sides here, we have to compensate for the left by doing minus 20 pixels. So we'll just take that off, and let me jump out of here. You can't, it's hard to see, but it's slightly off center. Well, actually, if you see where the plus sign is, that would be directly in the center, and so this is to the right of it. And so we have to compensate for that 20 pixels by just moving it back left 20 pixels. And so we come in, and now it's perfectly centered right in the middle. So now let's go to another example. And so I have the exact same thing here, and I will just delete out everything. And this one here is going to start appearing on our left-hand side. And again, we've got the one color not showing. I'd be curious to know why that is. I'll have to check that out. And so now we're going to go right 100%. So we're starting here on the right-hand edge of this element, and we're saying go all the way over 100%, 100% right, which means basically push it all the way over to the left edge. And now we are going to go 50% up. And again, because we have 20 pixels, we have to compensate for that 20 pixels to put it right in the middle. Now what you do is we have our things pointing outward like this. All we have to do is come in. And the reason why I set this up like this, and you should do it like this, is put in 4 different colors, and then as you're moving it around, you're going to get to be able to see where it is that it's actually lining up. So let's go back into our CSS, and what we want to do is everywhere other than where we have yellow, we're going to say we want this to be transparent. And I will just copy and paste this a bunch of times real quick. So there we go. We have an arrow pointing out the left side and an arrow pointing out of the bottom. And of course, you can make these bigger if you want to make it. Let's just go in here and let's take the one that's sticking out the side here that we can see a lot better. Let's just say we want to make this 40 pixels. Actually, we don't have to change, or do we? Let me see here. Let's just test this here. Let's see here. Do I only have to change this side? No, okay. See, there it starts to, because remember, so this one's 40, the others are 20, and so it's going to start to distort it. Let me just, oops, let's put blue in here, and red, and green again. You're going to see here as we move it over, it starts to distort everything. So let's just come in here and let's just say, 140. So all these other ones are having to compensate for it. The red, because that's not having to change at all, that's going to stay at our 20 pixels. But these are at 20, but they have to compensate to be able to go all the way back over here to the edge. So what we want to do is we want to make them all the same size. So let's just say we want to make each one of these 50. So now we got 50, so now let's put in our transparent, and we will copy that and put our transparent back in. And now because we changed everything to 50 pixels, our top margin of minus 20 is off, so now we have to make it minus 50. And, with a little bit of tweaking, you can get that to line up perfectly until, of course, we get to the next issue, which is when you start to downsize or resize an element. You're going to see here, this one actually decided to go off to the edge for a little bit. But what you're going to see, that actually turns it into an arrow when you do that. What you're going to see here with this one is it stays perfectly centered in the middle, and this one would as well. I'm not really sure why it's going off the edge. Well, I guess it would. It's close to the edge, but how often would you be pointing outside of the page? You'd be normally pointing inside or up or down. So let's move on to the last example that I have. And let's see, where are we? So let's go back into our CSS and scroll down here. So we're going to be working on this element to the right now. And as you see, it's got a black box all the way around it. And I want to put an arrow out the side of here, or simulate an arrow pointing out there with a black line all the way around it. But we obviously have to deal with a bunch of stuff in here, like text and the black border here on the right-hand side. So like before, we had our content, but now we're introducing a width and a height, and that is going to be the size of a box. We're going to get a box built right over here on the right-hand side. So we've got that. Let me see here, we'll turn the color on for that box. And then we will, what else do I need here to make that show up? Okay, we got our position absolute, right, top. So now we see we're building a box. Right here is where it's at. And so now let's put in a little bit of, we got a border on the top side. We're not going to have a border on the left or on the bottom, but we will have one on the right. So there is actually a yellow square right here. And in fact, let me do this. Let me copy this off and then turn that red. So here we got our box right there. So now what we got, like I said, it's right 0, top 50%. And I did this before and I got it all set up ahead of time so I know how to do it. Now what we do is we're going to do a transform and rotate 45 degrees. So as you see, it turned it sideways. Now all we got to do with our margin top and margin right is to move it up and over into position. So we will just take those two and we will move it up and move it in. Now I would have thought this had to be right margin of 25 pixels, but when I did that, it actually pushed it out just a hair too far, and you could clearly see that the lines weren't quite lined up. So I just brought it back down to 24 pixels. Now what we're going to have a problem with here is the text. As we shrink down the text on this, what's going to happen is it actually goes behind the box here. So let me go put that color back in that we had. Command V. And so if you move this down, it goes behind it. At least it was before. It doesn't seem to want to be going behind it now. But it was going behind it before. And so because of that, what I had to do is I had to say, okay, we want this text to always be proud of that box. And so I went in, and this is the CSS ID selector for the text. And then I did a strike through. So let me just show you that. So you just highlighted everything and then clicked here to do a strike through. And don't worry that that's messed up. And then what it does is I come in here and I say then, that way we can identify. By doing that strike through, we can identify it in the CSS. And then I just said position relative and Z index of 9, which means it'll always be in front of the text. And I think the reason why it wasn't showing all messed up is because I'm in the preview mode. So we will save everything. And we will actually, let me go back on that CSS because I want to change this back to 20. And oops, got to change the position on it to -20. There we go. Save that, and then let's do a preview. And there we have it. And then let's check to see what happens as we bring it down. Does the text at all ever go behind? And it does not appear to go behind the yellow box that's right here. Now that might have been, that part may not be needed. I thought it needed to be done, but then it seemed like it didn't need to be. So, but that's it. There's 3 different ways or more that you can put in a box on an element like this. So if you got any questions, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.